What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Wheal Talk. I'm your boy Anthony. I'm freaking happy to be here today, you guys. I got two of my homies with me. My boy Jaime. What's up, Jaime?
Nice to meet you.
Pounder. What's up, Dan?
Nice to see you. I mean,
chill. Nice to meet you. This guy acting like he don't know me. Real quick, you guys. I'm gonna let you guys know how I know these gentlemen, and we're gonna get into the story real quick. I met Jaime and Dan through wheelchair basketball. I say this all the time, but a lot of these guys that I've brought here to this podcast are people that I met through wheelchair basketball. Like I tell you guys, I'm not part of a team or nothing. I just go scrimmage with these guys sometimes and fool around. But I hang out with these guys sometimes. You know, me and Dan sometimes help each other when it comes to medical equipment that we need. We have mutual respect for each other, and we keep in contact most of the time. So today I want to introduce you guys to them because I feel they have an interesting story and a little funny at the same time to me. It's interesting where they're at because of the wheelchair and what they're doing with it today. So like we always do, you guys, I'm gonna do a check-in with them. Jaime, check in, bro. Your name, your level of injury, and how long have you been in the wheelchair?
Hello, my name's Jaime Baltazar. My level of injury is L1 T12 area, and I've been in a wheelchair for 23 years now.
Cool. How about you, Dan?
Dan Cashin, T5, T6, spinal cord injury. I've been injured since February 2006.
Okay. So my name is Anthony, you guys. I'm a level T6, and I've been in the wheelchair for 13 years. So I'm gonna start off with you, Jaime. All right. We're gonna start off with a little bit of your background. And what I mean by your background, before you were in the wheelchair, who were you before you were in the wheelchair? What were you up to? Where did you grow up, bro? Did you grow up with your mom and dad? What was your upbringing before you ended up in the wheelchair?
So I grew up I was born in 1982 in Chicago. I lived on the south side of Chicago, which is like about 10 minutes south of downtown. And so yeah, I was raised by my grandmother from like the age of 2. Okay. My mom and my dad were they were pretty young when they got together. They weren't really a couple, so I tell people I'm a spur of the moment baby. So,
they were drunk.
Yeah, so it was a crazy story how my grandmother actually found out that I was her grandson. She just like saw me at a store. Well, my mom was at the store once, and then she saw me at the store, and she's like, "Oh, it's such a pretty baby." And then she's like, and then the girl kind of looked at her funny, and then kind of like told her like, "What's your grandson?" type thing. And my dad tried to deny it, like of course, and but he couldn't deny it because I looked just like him. So
okay.
But yeah, so my grandmother, my mom was just kind of young, and they were like, I think they were like 17, 18 or something. So they're just kind of like just living their lives and stuff. So she pretty much took me in and raised me from like the age of 2 to now. She's still babying me.
Okay. So you didn't really grow up with your parents?
No, neither one. So some people would be like telling me stories about like, oh, I missed one parent. I was like, try missing 2. No, I'm just like,
try missing 2. They were both gone. That's crazy, bro.
But,
and we shouldn't be laughing because it's not funny.
No, but it
happens.
It doesn't make me sad that like it just made like the saying like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Like it just made me the person who I am today. My grandma was like more old school, so it kind of got that like old school upbringing.
Okay. So you're from the south side of Chicago. How old were you when you ended up in a wheelchair?
So basically, so you said say a little bit like who I was before the chair. Kind of like before that. So
actually, before you go there, what's it? I've never been to Chicago. I probably drove by there. You hear that it's bad over there. That's what all I've heard, that Chicago is bad. Like I said, I've never been there, so I can't speak on it. But growing up in Chicago, the south side of Chicago, growing up with grandma, your parents are not around. What did that look like?
The neighborhood has always been a little bad here or there. It's like I tell people like Chicago's like you can have the best time around the corner of your life or the worst time around the corner around your life. Like it could go either way. So you kind of like prepared for everything. But no, I in the neighborhood it was like at one point there was a peace. There was like I feel like when the Bulls were winning, like in the 90s, and everybody was like happy. All my aunts and uncles were inside partying, having a good time. Everybody in the city just kind of rallied around the Bulls. So like, even gangs were in peace at that time. No lie. Like I could go from one area to the other on the bike and like not even getting questioned.
This is early 90s?
Yeah, early 90s. Everybody was kind of like in the peace mode. And then once they broke up the dynasty, I think gangs were just like, we ain't got nothing else to watch.
They were all mad.
We got something to do now. No.
Wow.
So yeah, I just felt like it just
So
changed.
really,
There was a shift.
Michael
There was
Jordan had that much influence
I feel like-
that he was bringing gang pieces.
Yeah, I
truces,
feel like
guess?
when the Bulls played, the world stopped a little bit. Like as far as in Chicago, you know, maybe not around the world, but
Right.
he was a global icon. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And for like a kid that didn't have a father growing up, like that's a person you idolize, and like that's something you could be proud of being
Right.
from that city. You know. So yeah, it's kind of like everybody kind of gravitated towards him. And then even, you know, back then racism was pretty big back then, you know. But like I feel like when Jordan was winning, you didn't hear none of that racism stuff. Like they were just like, "No, Mike," you know.
You said you're from '82.
Yeah, I was born in 82,
Okay.
so.
See, I was born in '90, bro. So like, I remember just people always wearing Jordans or having the Bulls jersey, and to me it was funny because like, let's say you're from San Diego and you go for the Raiders, people make fun of you because you're from San Diego, right? Obviously they're not here no more. We know that, but back in the days, but everybody here was still wearing the red 23 jersey, bro.
Yeah.
Like, so it's crazy how much influence it had.
I feel like, I don't know, I never seen the other side of it, but I was wondering, like, because, you know, like, as LeBron started getting famous, I was always that little hater in the beginning because, you know, I never wanted him to surpass Mike. That was the biggest thing, you know? And then, so, yeah, I was wondering, like, were there other people on the flip side? I knew New Yorkers hated Mike because, you know, he used to just go there and just dominate.
Destroy them.
52, you know?
Okay.
And I got, you know, so... Even in LA, like the big cities, he shined the most. So I just was wondering, like, were there Mike haters back then? Like, you know, like, I don't know. I only saw the good side of it.
Yeah.
But anyways, back just to like Chicago and stuff. Yeah, so that's what made me like basketball growing up. So like growing up, my mom put me in all these sports. Like I played like baseball, Cubs care. I played hockey. Remember, hockey was the first time I cried over a sport. We lost in the championship, and I was just like crying. I was like, I don't even know why I'm crying.
I was about
like,
to say,
I
what's
was a
hockey,
kid,
bro?
yeah.
Nobody.
It was
watches
indoor.
hockey.
It was indoor hockey. It was
How old were
Chicago.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, how old were you?
Dude, I didn't know. I was young. It was like 9 or something like that. I just remember where like we had a chance to win it and we lost at the end, and I was like, dude.
So ever since you were young, you were into sports.
Yeah, just competitive. That was my thing. I was a little more introverted, like, because I just like my mom kept me out of the streets, like, because it was like go to school and then get back home and like.
And do you think that's what kept you out of the streets, or were you still, you know, me as a kid, bro? I was attracted to that stuff. I wanted to play football when I was growing up, but the gang thing got my attention more than sports.
Okay.
Like I don't know why, but that's what I went for. That's really what got I wanted to be part of that team.
Gotcha.
Not part of the sports team. You know what I mean? To you, did you have that influence as well? Where like were you like interested in what they were doing, or were you just so much into the sports that gang stuff didn't matter?
Well, it's like I had a happy medium because like I had uncles that were in gangs, but they were like, you know, you're good at sports, like that's what you do, you know. And then like I said, in the '90s, you kind of had like a G pass from the gangs, like, oh, he's the athlete, let him go, you know, like. They kind of let you, like, if you were good at sports, they kind of let you.
He's gonna make us rich, homie. He's gonna make us rich.
Yeah, exactly. Or did he just let you go from park to park to play ball? Like, he ain't involved in the gang. You know what I'm saying? He's just a baller. So they kind of had that respect. Back then, you know, there was rules like couldn't get beat up in front of your girlfriend or your mom, like,
right? Yeah.
Or in front of the church or none of that stuff. So like
or
there was like
kids.
little rules and stuff like
yeah.
that back days. Now they don't care, but like back then there was like, you know, there was rules and stuff.
There was.
I kind of followed by those rules, and then my grandma like kept me in the church and like kept me involved in the church and doing stuff in the community. And then, you know, my uncles had me doing like their little, you know, bad things here on the side, little by little, but nothing like super crazy. They just try to keep me pretty much on the straight edge, and then every once in a while they'd ask me to do them.
And so did it never became an issue for you to go to different neighborhoods, even though you probably were related, you had like family, like you said, you had family members that were gang members. Because you know, me growing up here, bro, if your family was from a certain gang, the other gangs are gonna fuck with you. Like there's because if the way they see it, you're gonna be from there at one point.
I got you.
You're gonna be from that part. So you never dealt with that, or
well, there was a little jealousy, but like I felt like my uncles had enough pull on each side, like that they could like, all right, leave them alone type thing. You know what I mean? Like, and I wasn't out there like, you know, like using their name for like anything like to get over on anybody in the gang. It was more like I had a buddy who was like a neutron, or like they call people that weren't in gangs neutrons or neutral. Like,
yeah.
So I had buddies that were like lived on the other side, and then I had a buddy that I knew from over here, like, and then they just kind of crossed paths, and they were like gonna beat this dude up, and I just like vouched for them. And so
That's
I would
smart.
do that. I would like vouch for people through my uncle, but I wasn't really using it as like, oh, you
My
know,
uncle's from here, blah blah
you
blah
know,
blah blah.
to like treat somebody, you know, like
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
using it more for good than anything, you know what I mean?
Ah, see me,
So-
bro. I was that dumb kid. I would be like, yeah, my uncle's from here. Oh yeah. Beep, 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 beep.
Oh, no,
I
no.
start rushing you, bro.
Well, I had
swear.
to figure out, you know, you gotta like it's a rooting out thing. You gotta figure out like where they're from, where you're at. Sometimes they trick you to say this and that,
Right.
so you just gotta feel it out. You know, don't get me wrong. Like I caught a couple ass whoopings, but like they were rare. Like you know, then once they knew who my uncles was, they either got in trouble or like you know it didn't happen again. So
Okay.
so it was kind of one of those things.
That's what's up, bro. That's what's up. Heck yeah, yeah. Shout out to Chicago, man. Never been there, but shout out to the South Side of Chicago. So let's get into it, bro. How old were you again? Remind me in the wheelchair. How old were you when
I
you
got
ended up in the
injured?
wheelchair?
It was
So before you tell me the story, you were what?
17.
17?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. 16, 17, bro. You were still in sports. You were still involved. What was like the main sport you were involved in at that time?
It was basketball, but I did like cross country and I did track for a little bit, and then I did football as well. So it's like I would just go from one season to the next.
Okay,
I really
okay.
didn't have off season, but my main like love sports wise was football and basketball.
Football and basketball.
Yeah.
Tell us about your story, bro. You know, me say this all the time, you guys. I got shot when I was 19 doing the gang stuff. It's what it is. It kind of comes with the life. You know, if you're telling me you're involved in sports, you know, you're going to school, you know, you're doing the right thing, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How did this happen, bro?
So like I feel like I had three options at this point. Like, you know, I was about to graduate high school. You know, like I said, everybody knew that I wasn't in the gang, but doesn't mean that gangs weren't still trying to recruit me. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like, oh, you're cool, you know. So I kind of did my thing with like I was I like I said I was an artist, so I did the graffiti artist thing, kind of like I could have the happy medium, like all right, gangs get girls, but I'm like I don't want to kill nobody, you know what I'm saying? I just want to party and like hang with girls. You
You're
know what
being
I'm saying?
real,
Like,
homie. Hell
I
yeah.
ain't got it in me. Like I had opportunities and I just kind of sidestepped my way through those. So like
He's like, I'm a lover, not a fighter, bro.
you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and plus, like, I lived on the side they were trying to get me to do shit. Like, that is dumb as hell. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I'm sick, tallest Mexican in the neighborhood. Like I'm not gonna get caught. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was not stupid. You know, like,
Right,
So
right.
I was just like, all right, what's my next avenue where I could be cool still and like.
So you
hang
wanted to
with
be like a
chicks?
tagger.
So yeah, I
Okay.
basically I just kind
You
of
became a tagger.
segue to the tagger thing, and then like I said, they still trying to like recruit you and stuff, you know. You know, especially after you get asked them like, "Oh, we got your back," type shit, of course, you know. But no, I just kind of was like in that situation where it was like the walls were closing in a little bit. Like it was either, you know, they're gonna try to recruit me. No, I didn't want to go that route. You know, I couldn't be a tagger forever because you know you get caught up with that, you can get record.
Yeah,
get a
you could
felony
you could
too,
also
know
be
what I'm
looked as a
saying?
gang member regardless, even though it's not like a dangerous
Well, they
gang.
use those guys to segue, like
Right,
so they have
right.
like little cliques and they let you do what you do for a little while,
And then you recruit 'em.
eventually they're trying to recruit you.
Absolutely.
So then that it was like, all right, I can't do that, and then it was like either go to the military, which I was looking into the Coast Guard, and then the other thing was play basketball because I was still pretty good at that. And my coach in high school was trying to get me to go to St. John's, so it was like in New York, little smaller school, Division II, I think, Division II or Division One.
St.
John's.
Yeah, so I was like, those were the options, and I was like, all right, I need those two other good options. That last option's not that great, you know. My dad, you know, like he was in jail most of my life, so I know I didn't want to go that route. I have an like the biggest thing is like learn from other people's mistakes. Like a lot of people would just like see their brother do something, they're like, oh, I'm gonna do that, it's gangster. No, the gangster thing is be smart and don't do the same thing because you know the end result.
Now check it out.
Don't watch Scarface and try to become Scarface because you know the end of the movie.
Okay, but see, but okay, and I feel you, bro. You're right. Me, when I saw somebody go to jail, I wanted to go to jail. Why is that? Then why do you think that is? That you
For street
saw
rap.
it? Maybe me. It wasn't my dad in jail. It was my uncles. Right, so that and then once I start hanging around with these gang members, their family members are out there, and you meet them when they're fresh out of prison, fucking swole. They're teaching you how to make fucking the spreads, and like it to me was like I want to be like that, bro. Why didn't you want to be like that? Why didn't you want to be like your dad, I guess?
I feel like I had a good example of like you could still be cool and not be in a gang. So like there was a gym teacher, his name was Mr. B, and he actually had connection to some player that was on the Bulls team at the time, and he kind of resembled him a little bit too. But yeah, he was our gym teacher, right? And he was like, one time he took us to a softball. Like he was our softball coach too, and he drove us because we didn't have a ride, and we got in his car, and he had sound system, he had rims, he had like a nice little Blazer, and I was just thinking in my mind like, damn, you could listen to rap music and you could do this and do that and be like, and not be gangster, but like still like have that like that swag, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, okay, you don't have to be a gang to be like with the shits, like be cool with like rap and be cool with like rims and all the other stuff. So it kind of was like a light bulb, like, okay, I had an example, right? If you could see it, you could do it.
Right.
So that was kind of my example.
That makes sense. Yeah, I didn't have
but don't get me wrong, I idolized it. Like there's guys in box Chevys driving around, listening to freestyle, having girls in their cars. Like that's what you want to get.
Not everyone has the foresight to see where that path goes.
Yeah, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Like people get caught up like, oh, that like this looks so enticing. Like I want to go do that, but they don't see where that path goes.
Yeah,
Like, I have a similar kind of thing. How I grew up with I grew up with my uncles and aunts, and they taught me a lot.
That's crazy. I didn't have that, bro. My uncles didn't take me to those places. My uncles would find me there. Like I'm already hanging out with their homies, so they weren't the ones like, yeah, come here, get in the car, dog. I'm gonna go sell some dope. Come with me. No, they didn't want me to see it. They didn't want me to be part of it. Okay. But I was so attracted to it, dog. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go to these places. I'm gonna go hang out where they're at.
Hid it from you.
Yeah. They didn't. They hid it in the sense of not taking me, but they dressed like gang members. They look like gang members. Like you can't, they couldn't deny that shit. That it was obvious, So you had three options: go to the streets, get involved in the tagging, or sports. And go ahead, bro. What was your choice after that, or did you get to make a choice?
No, and don't get me wrong, I had my wannabe stage. You know what I mean? Everybody has that wannabe stage, and then then another light bulb comes off and reality hits. And like I was going to a Catholic school downtown, and I went to this religious retreat. I was just like on the spiritual high thing, and then I come back, and then my aunt calls me and she's like, oh, my cousin, which was about 14, 15, he got shot in the head, and he was a gangbanger, you know what I'm saying? So he was living that lifestyle, but it was just like, I didn't expect that, and it was just kind of a shock to me. Like, I was kind of like on Forrest Gump, like, mode. Like, I didn't know what to do. I just started running, like, and then I just went to my buddy's house, and I just kind of like broke down a little bit. And then from there, it was just like, that was the reality of what we were doing, or what we were trying to be.
And this is the closest person to you that passed.
Yeah,
because of it.
And we've heard of stories of your uncle's friends and stuff like that, but it's just like it hits home when it's like somebody you grew up with. Like that was like one of my favorite cousins. Like in grade school, we were like class clowns, and they had to separate us, so we were just really tight. Just clicked on a good level, and so. Yeah, it was just a shock to me, and then it was kind of the reality check that I kind of needed, because it was just like, all right, do I want to go down that path? And growing up, like like going to school on both sides. Like I went to school till about 6th grade on the other side where my cousin and my mom's side of the family lived, right? And then there was a like a main street, and then we lived like one block into that, and then there was like my dad's side of the family kind of on this side, but on this side it was several different gangs. And then on my cousin's side, it was just one big gang. So everybody over here was kind of against them.
Oh, okay.
So, there were some people that were envious that I could go up and back. And, they see me over there, and then I had to explain, and, people had to vouch for me and whatever.
Freaking street politics, bro.
Yeah, so, don't get me wrong, I didn't just navigate everything so smoothly. I was just telling you bits and pieces of what, like, I went through. So, yeah, you just got to be smart with everything, Like, for a long time, I just kind of, you would, like, just kind of tell your little white lies to get through certain things.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you don't want to smoke? I just got done smoking. You know what I mean? I dodged that for a long time, like, so.
Oh man, and bro, you know what? And you're right. You do gotta be smart to not fall so into it, bro. Because me, like, you know, I started smoking weed when I was like 12, right?
Yeah.
I started smoking weed, but weed was nothing. Like until they busted out like the crystal meth pipe, I was like, oh shit, like, and then smelling it, bro. I never been around that type of drug when I was a kid, never.
Yeah.
So when I smelled it, I saw it in the table right there. The uncles, there's nephews, grandpa. They don't give a fuck that a crystal meth pipe is there. It was so unrealistic to me, bro. But I didn't know how to lie like that. I was so scared because all these there was like 12-year-old kids smoking this shit, and I'm like, is this really like in my head? I was scared, bro. I'm like, cause they're gonna pass it to me, and I'm not gonna say no. So I was scared that I was gonna do the drug. Yeah, bro, it was weird, and to be honest, I never even liked it. I would relapse with it, but I never liked it. But it was. I didn't know how to be like that, I guess, bro. Like, and I'm guessing you just got put up on game, huh? I think that made a big difference.
I always had so I had the grandma side, right? She's like, you know, she's an OG. She already raised 4 sons. So anything I do, I can't get away with it.
Yeah, she knows what's
my
up.
uncles already tried it, you know? So I wasn't even trying to.
They know.
If I did something and I got away with it, it was the slickest to get away with.
She's like, I know why it smells like Old Spice in this fucking room. It smells like a lot of like Old Spice. Yeah, well, what you smoking on?
Yeah, so she was on everything, you know what I mean? I couldn't get away with much. So she was like, I would tell people, like, if I explain it now, I was like, I had the devil and the angel. So I had like my grandmother teaching me all the good stuff, church, you know, do good in the world, help people. And then the other side, it was like the uncles, like they weren't trying to like drag me into it, but there's just certain situations you're like, oh, here, take these 4 joints, sneak them into jail for your dad. Like, I didn't know what I was doing at 12 years old, you know what I'm saying? Like, they had me living thug life and I don't even know it, you know what I'm saying? So, but as I navigated certain situations, I was just like, and I look back, I was like, oh, that's what that was.
They were just using you not to get in trouble.
Right?
No, but I'm saying that's smart though.
No, it is.
In their mind, in their head, like for me, I don't appreciate it now, but like, like, it was something, you know, like
you put me in a bad situation, mom. Shit.
You know, but it wasn't nothing.
You still have him carry everything. Too,
he carries everything for us too. So
yeah. That's why I tell people I've been doing this for years, dog. No, but
no, we don't do drugs here, you guys. All right.
But no.
Go ahead.
It was just one of those situations. It's like, hey, my dad was like the janitor. He was cool. Like whenever we went to go visit him, he always kind of had like some kind of plug, or he knew people there. Like he was kind of famous there. It was weird.
Yeah.
And so I guess he cleaned the bathroom. Like, hey, just open the garbage and put this napkins in there, and turn, you know. I was like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like those situations like that, or just little situations. That's not big. Like I'm not.
So you grew up going to jail to visit your dad, and so like what jail was he at? Do you remember?
He was he was at the state prison, like the one further out by the farm. So like there's the county that's like in Chicago, like the one that's in the city.
Okay.
And then like when you do big time, it's like more than 10 years.
Real
or 8.
deal.
It's the farm in Statesville. So they actually did a couple movies in there and shit. I forgot. There was a couple movies that my dad was actually in just as an extra because he was in there.
He's already here mopping and shit.
Telling me when I was younger, I thought my dad was famous. I'm like, oh, he just had a little.
He's a maintenance guy in the back cleaning.
I had to stop the VHS and be like, there he is right there. That's my dad.
Yeah,
you know, like,
that's how old they are, you guys. VHS.
Natural Born Killers. Natural Born Killers.
Natural Born Killers?
And there was another movie too.
Okay.
And he was all excited about that. Like my fondest memory is going to jail was getting a Tombstone pizza because they had these like pizza ovens that cooked it perfectly. You know, like you can put a pizza in the oven at home. It's not the same as a pizza oven. Like
yeah.
Better, so
make a difference.
That was my excitement to go see my dad. And then as he went to the farm, they had like it's an actual farm, like, and they had like a baseball field out there, so you get to run around. They had a basketball court. They had the handball, and like I used to go play, like as I got older, I would go in there and play against the prisoners 5-on-5. We were running full court in that bad boy, you know. So it was cool, you know. And then, you know, your dad tells you all these. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get you.
That's where he learned all those moves. I'm telling you.
That's where he learned all those moves.
That's some jailhouse moves, dog. I can't teach you that.
Playing with all these fucking prisoners and shit.
You got to do a bit to learn that move, dog.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy, bro. That's interesting. I never went to go visit nobody in prison.
So I've always had exposure to good things and bad things. So that's a good thing. So I could weigh it out, and you know what I mean. Like I grew up in the city, but for high school I went my first year. I didn't want to go to high school because I told you have to go through different gangs to get to the school. And So, they kind of go by like what neighborhood you're from to kind of mess with you. So I was like, there was like they did a ninth year at my high school, so you didn't have to leave. And I was like, it was a pilot program. I was like, yeah, I'll stay here for another year. I don't have to worry about gangs for another year.
That's crazy.
So I stood there for another year, and then the church. I got a scholarship to go through the church because I was altar boy. They gave me a scholarship to go to the seminary. Seminary is pretty much a school you go to if you were like interested in the priesthood. So basically, it was downtown, like right next to Water Tower. Like it was like magnificent mile. It was like I had to take a train and a bus to get over there. So it was a good experience for me because I had friends that were like now from the suburbs and from like that had money. You know what I mean? So I kind of got that exposure too because I had my hood friends. Like we just give $5, we share it, we make the most of it. These kids are getting dropped off in a limo and stuff. So
yeah.
It was kind of like good exposure for me.
Right.
And then I would get home late and do homework and then just kind of repeat from there.
Tell us about the day, bro, that you ended up in the wheelchair. What was this from a spinal cord injury? From where what was the incident that left you paralyzed at 17, bro?
So the day I got injured, I was supposed to go skiing with my church. That's how the day started off. I was gonna go skiing with my church. Like I said, I had a cousin that lived on the other side, and he had borrowed me his car because he had just got a new car, and he's like, oh, I didn't want you driving home at night, so just take my car and then just bring it back, and then I forgot I had to go to this trip, so I didn't want to keep his car over 2 days. So I was just like, all right. I told my mom, I was like, I know his neighbor sold some cheese. So I was like, you want some of this cheese that I had bring her like a week ago? She's like, yeah. So basically that was my excuse to go drop off my cousin's car. So that was a situation that kind of played out. So I went to go drop off his car, and then I was going to drop it off and then pretty much head back. And
was your cousin a gang member?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, was he at that point? Yeah, he was pretty much in it by that point, yeah.
Okay.
So that was my cousin. That was the cousin that got shot. His younger brother. That was his younger brother. And he was in the shower when I got there. So his sister's like, oh, can you give me a ride somewhere? And I was like, oh yeah, I got you. You're young, you just want to drive around for no reason,
Right.
So cruising. So I just pretty much took her on a little cruise, and then in that process of like taking her on that cruise, I was just gonna bring the car back and then, get the cheese and then go home, get ready, and then go skiing with my church because we did that the year before. And it was pretty cool. So and it was in the same area, it's like a couple of blocks away. So on the way back, to dropping her off, she wanted to see some guy. We passed by, she saw him, and then we kind of were heading back, and then a car kind of we're going down the street, and it was like a narrow street, kind of like almost like an alleyway.
Okay.
And we had to go really slow by each other's cars to get by. So I was the driver on one side, and the other driver from that side was going past me, and then he was throwing up a gang sign, which at that time I knew the gang sign. It was like a gang that was in peace with my cousin's gang. So I was just like, oh, he's just driving around looking for somebody else. And then like he picked up a gun, and I saw the gun, but I was like still thinking like, oh, he's just driving around looking for somebody. And then like I looked at my cousins as we were like slowly getting by, because we're almost by them. And then the next thing I know, like she looked like to the left, and she looked like she saw a ghost. So then I looked, and then I saw dude, he just had like a revolver, and pretty much he smiled, and he was like kind of like, I got you type thing, and then just let it loose. And then I heard like the first shot, like it kind of froze, and then the second one, and then I just floored it. And then like I got halfway down the block, and then that's when my like left side started to feel hot. And it pretty much came out like a movie. It was like when I said it, I was like, I got shot, but it came out like, oh, I got shot, like really drawn out. And then from there, that was the last time I remember like using my feet to like stop the car. And then some guy from the street came and carried me over to the passenger, and then pretty much got like a block, maybe 2 blocks away, like a block and a half away. And then there was a cop car there, and then he called the ambulance and pretty much got me to the hospital.
Damn. So you got shot twice? Twice or 3 times?
Well, they shot 3 times at the car, but it pretty much went underneath the door. Mm-hmm. So like I guess as I was driving away, that one of those shots got me, and then it went underneath the door, and then it like went in this side, broke 2 of my ribs, and then if it would have went straight through, I would have been good, but it broke 2 ribs, and then it ricocheted, and then it got lodged into my spinal cord. So it didn't like sever anything in my back, but it just kind of got lodged in there. and then the inflammation, doesn't allow the
So-
messages to go through.
That's crazy, my boy. So when you got shot right away, your legs went out.
I would say I wouldn't say right away. I would say probably like shortly after probably once that bullet hit my spinal cord. Like I that was the last time I remember like actively using them was to put the brake on.
Yeah.
So maybe as it ricocheted and went to the back. Like I said, if it would have went straight through, I'd have been fine. But it broke some of my ribs and then bounced back. And it's crazy. It's a revolver though, so you know what I mean. So it went through the door. And, that's metal already, and then it broke 2 ribs, and ribs are strong. And you know what I'm saying. So I feel like if it would have went maybe through just. If it was like didn't have to go through all that stuff, it would definitely went straight through. But
Trip
like
out.
everything kind of slowed it down a little bit more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was
I definitely remember it was a revolver because I looked and I see.
You saw that? You saw it right there.
They're like, what kind of? I don't know guns, but I know it was
I
a
know the
revolver.
revolver.
It was a
I've seen one
9mm
of
or
those.
something. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Me, bro, it's funny you mentioned your rib because me, when I got shot, I was already trying to run away. And the guy's behind me, right? So he shoots me right here and it hits my rib, but it doesn't fracture my rib. So you had a broken rib for like.
That's why I think I was breathing hard. So,
Okay, so mine, it fractured my lung, but it hit the rib bone. So it made the bullet go. I thought it would have gone straight to it, kind of like you said. But because it hit the rib cage, it made the bullet go this way. And it went from my lung, my spine, my other lung. And when I woke up, it was right here. So I think hitting the rib is what made it, like you said, go back and hit your spine.
Yeah, well, I mean, it hit other things too. Like it hit the ribs, and then it went through my spleen. So they put a hole through that, and then it went to my, then it got lodged in my back. So after like them figuring out like, oh, it was in my back, they couldn't get it out. Then they figured out like, oh, they were trying to sew me up, and then they're like, oh, he's still bleeding internally, and then that's when they had to open me up from the middle and take out my spleen because it was a hole in it. So
Damn.
I had to take that out. So yeah, I'm missing a couple
That's
parts.
crazy. Yeah. No, you don't gotta say everything.
No,
Don't incriminate yourself. No, freaking, that's crazy, my boy. So this is how I see it, right? You're in the mix because you're related.
Yeah.
So you're the only reason. So you're just associated by them being your family members, right? But you're not trying to be in the mix. You're just, like you said, you go through these phases. You go through the wannabe phase. Every gang member does. Especially if you want to become one. Everybody goes through a wannabe phase. But you're focusing on playing sports. Yeah. You're not focusing on this gang shit, right? Yeah, no. So this guy,
and I have friends on both sides. Like I said, like it was always like pick a side. I was like, how do I pick a side? Half the people are my family on this side, half people are family on this side, and then the other people I knew them from grade school. Like, you know what I'm saying? Before they were gang members, I had some dudes that I knew from like CCD class that were in another gang. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so like even though I may not like chill with that gang, like just because I knew that one person, like if I ever got in trouble, that person was like, usually pretty like higher up or just kind of had that charisma. People would respect that. Mm-hmm. So like I kind of had that like always like how could I choose a side when I like everyone I know is from a different
somewhere
side,
bro.
So it was always like you want me to pick teams, but I can't really pick teams. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I feel you. So now
you just respect who you're with at where you're at. You know what I'm
absolutely.
Don't get involved in the other shit. That's how I kind of navigated through it.
And that's how you do it, bro. You have to just show mutual respect. When you're doing like a gang member, just respect the territory. You're there. You're a fucking guest. You're the guest. You know what I mean? So if you conduct yourself right, treat them with respect, you should be good. Now let's get into. You got shot. You're driving away. You guys see the cops. The cops call the ambulance and they pick you up, right? Mm-hmm. How long did it take for you to realize that you were paralyzed? Like, what happened in order for you to be like, damn, now like I can't walk? You play basketball. You play sports, bro. Tell me about that moment you remember recognizing that you're paralyzed and that you're not gonna walk again.
It was probably when I came. Well, shortly after, maybe like the second day after I came to. I don't think it was like the first day, but like when I came to, I had all these masks and stuff and was trying to rip it off, of course, Mm-hmm. And then, you're asking for certain people here and there, just people that, you care about and stuff. And then I think one of my first questions was like, who won the Super Bowl? So, you know, sports is still in there somewhere, you know? Because I have the papers, like, they had the
So this is in January? No.
January 15th,
January
2000. Yeah, 2000. So,
Damn.
so it was like, so I had papers, like I still have the papers where I wrote down like my first couple things or kind of explain what happened, you know? So I was just writing on papers and asking for certain girls and stuff, you know? So yeah, it was crazy. Like
He didn't even know he was paralyzed. He didn't know he was paralyzed yet. That's why he's asking these questions, because when you know you're paralyzed, you're not asking these fucking questions.
And then I had uncles too, because they were kind of funny with it. They're always like, oh no, did you lose his mojo? Because Austin Powers was like famous back then, so they were messing with me right away. But
the spy who shagged him.
No, so I think it was like the second day though when they told me, they're like, you won't be able to walk or something like that. And I was just like, oh damn, like I think I cried. I'm pretty sure I did, and yeah, I was just like, I wasn't really worried about walking. I was worried about running, jumping, flying. You know, like I played sports, like. You know, even when I walked fast because I had long legs, you know, so it was always like, I don't know, it wasn't about like, you know, walking everyday stuff. It was more like, how do I live? Because most of my lifestyle was like a hobby, you know, I'd either play one sport or play this and I was always like stopping on the block to like play with kids on the block, basketball, football, like anytime I could like get a pickup game or anything or just.
Were you in a relationship at that time? You were 17, right? So I had a bunch of girlfriends at 17. What were you? What did you have going on relationship wise? Because me, bro, I was 19 when this happened to me. So my first thing was how I'm gonna have sex, bro. I didn't care. Yours was sports, mine was sex, homie.
Me too.
I don't want to sound like a fucking weirdo, but I was so sexually active that I was like, what happens after this shit? Like, yeah, bro. Once they started showing me like things how to get your fucking thing hard, I was like, I gotta take stuff to get my dick hard, bro. Like it was like, oh hell no, like yeah, bro. It messed me up.
I didn't really think. I mean, you know,
so you were in no relationship, right?
And like girls always came with the sports, you know.
Yeah,
especially if you're winning, you know. Okay. So yeah, so I didn't really, you know, the aspect. I mean, I was 17 when I got injured, so I was. Yeah, so like it was only like maybe I would say a couple months before I like the first time I had like actually got sexually active. So you know, I knew what it felt like, but like, you know, sports was probably my main thing, like that I worried about like when I first got injured. You know, and then like, you know, I'm thinking like, okay, they're saying that, but I'm definitely gonna try my best to walk. You know what I mean? So I wasn't accepting it fully.
Okay.
I was knowing like this is an obstacle, you know, and then, you know, I believe in God, and, you know, I grew up in the church, so. You know, I was saying my prayers, answering my questions, you know, to God. And, you know, you go through that, everybody goes through that sorrow phase where they're like, what did I do? Like, I know, you know.
And that's how I see yours, bro, unless you were some fucking killer and I didn't know it. But, like, that's fucked up that you're trying to do the right, like I said, bro, you're associated just by family, but you're trying to do the right thing. And then this happens to you, you know, is that guy in jail or is he dead or what happened to that fool?
I don't really know. It's kind of one of those things, like I said, like everybody kind of knew me in the area. So like whoever did that was like somebody outside of that area. You know, it might have been from another gang from that area, like from another side or something.
Does he know that he shot the wrong person?
Yeah, because normally like when they shoot somebody, they brag about it, they tag it on the walls. Right. Like, it's like, oh, you know, the streets know.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
but
absolutely.
Like once they like it got out it was me, it just was very hush hush after that, because you know, the people that are smart, they know like, okay, he has family here and here, and honestly I couldn't like really pinpoint who it was. You know, I had my inclinations, but like I really know like, all right, it's definitely this person, you know. And like, so I didn't want to like just have this all out war, because it's like, you know, I have friends on every side, like, you know what I'm saying?
He trips me out. Like,
why would I want all my friends to go shoot up each other and they still not gonna find the right person? Like,
your humbleness, you know? It sickens me a little bit, because you're so like cool. Like you're not even saying get that fool. Like, you're not even thinking retaliate. I was telling the homies, get this motherfucker. And he got, the one that shot me, he got busted that same day. But I was like, get somebody. You better get somebody. I don't care who you get. But so I wasn't, you're thinking like, let's keep the peace even after I got shot and I didn't deserve it.
Well, because it's like, all right, you're just going to go get another person that probably wasn't involved, and now their family is going to be feeling the pain that my family felt. And for me, yeah, I get it. I felt the pain. It hurt. But it hurt my family more than it hurt me. You know what I mean? So, like, I didn't want another family to feel the pain that my family felt. You know, my family's probably still hurt about this shit.
I was not thinking
I'm good.
like that.
Like, I moved on. Like, you know, like, certain shit hurts your family for the rest of your life, and you don't even know that. But, like, you know, like, I know, like, I try to tell my G, like, my OG all the time, I'm good. Like, you know, like, you know, but, you know, your mom's like, oh, if I could give you my legs, I would. And I'm like,
yeah.
No, I know, I appreciate that. But, you know, I'm here for a reason, and, you know, it's not an easy lifestyle, but it's a life. You know what I mean?
It is.
And I'm here. There's a reason why I'm here, and you know, I won't know till this book is, you know, all the way written. So I'm just living each chapter the best I could. You know.
I love that, my boy. I love that. That's why I fucks with you hard, because yeah, you are a humble ass dude. I didn't know you were this fucking humble.
Well,
this is too humble for me.
I actually wrote a letter to my mom. Worked at alternative school, right? So she worked with gangs from like both sides, you know. So they knew me because I told you I grew up with a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
So either their brother knew me or their younger brother knew me, and like she's like, yeah, they're all upset and they're ready to go. All their students are ready to go kill somebody, you know. And I had to write a letter, like, and then I basically said what I like.
So you wrote to the guy that shot you?
No, I just wrote to the school, like, yo, this is like, yeah, like I'm good, like don't do it, da da da.
Oh, okay,
I ain't gonna say nothing happened. So,
no, yeah,
but
yeah.
the reality is, I didn't know about it.
Yeah,
and it never got back to me. You know, I got uncles. You know.
No, yeah, bro. Oh no, like when it comes to gang shit, bro, like, yeah, that's why I'm asking, because I'm not saying you were involved in it, but the gang life is the gang life. If this fool shot somebody that did not deserve it, yeah, something's gonna happen to him either out in the streets or once he gets to jail. Especially yeah, bro. There's so much gang politics, but that's not what we're talking about today. But that's what it is, right? Now, real quick, bro. First thing that stood out to you being in the wheelchair. Now that you know you're paralyzed, what is that one thing that you have to do now that was like, damn, mine was sticking a tube down my penis. A catheter. The catheter was like, what the fuck? Like, do I really have to do this, bro? Like I say the story. I said the story before. I'm gonna say it one more time. The nurse. Bro. But my last 2 weeks in the rehab, I didn't even know I was getting cathed. It was weird. I didn't notice somebody was putting something down there, bro. Like I don't know how I did not notice. But yeah, right? I don't know how. But my last 2 weeks,
you're drugged up.
I was drugged up. I was telling these fools to bring me weed all the time and shit. But the nurse shows up. She's like, Anthony, she's like, you haven't cathed yourself yet. And I'm like, cath myself? I'm telling you, bro, I had not looked down. My dick didn't work. I wasn't even looking at it. Like I was like, I'm so focused on the pain, to be honest, bro.
So what do you think they were doing down there when they come in every 3 hours?
You know when they come and they give you that shot in your stomach?
Okay, yeah.
I
For
thought
from the blood clot.
Yeah,
shot.
from the blood clot. So I thought that's what they were doing, bro, because I wasn't looking down. The nurse comes and she's like, Anthony, you have to do this for yourself. And I'm like, you're crazy, lady. I'm not sticking this tube down my you know what. Like, I'm just not doing that. I got mad, bro. She's like, Anthony, if you don't do it, your mom's gonna have to do it. And I was like, give me that fucking tube, lady. Like, I'm not letting my mom touch me down there, bro. Like, I was so embarrassed, bro. What stood out to you? The first thing that stood out to you that, like, damn, this comes with the wheelchair. Because a lot of people just think it's a wheelchair, bro. But unfortunately, there's so much stuff with it. What stood out to you right away that you're like, fuck?
I don't know. I like you know, of course you got to do the bowel program. You have to, you know, use a catheter. So those are some like obstacles, I would say. But like, it's kind of one of those things. Like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? At that point, I was like dealing with a lot of pain and trying to kind of manage that, doing therapy, and I was still competitive. So I was just like, oh, I'm gonna try to, you know, beat all these like whatever the therapy was for the day. I'm like try to kill it. You know what I mean? And so I was just trying to get better. Like I wasn't really focused on like what I didn't have at that moment. I was more like, all right, this is what I want to do. I want to get better, so that way I can, you know, have a function of everything, I guess. So I would say the biggest thing more like I would notice like what came with the chair was like just people looking at you more often. You know what I mean? Like as far as like looking at you and trying to wonder, because I'm young, you know, I'm 17.
Yeah.
Like, why is he in the chair and he looks healthy? And some people come up to you like, oh, did you hurt your ankle? Like, you know what I mean? Because my legs, I didn't have muscle atrophy or nothing, so it looks like it could just stand up. You know?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of that, or like, you know, just they still like, even though I'm sitting down, like they look, I'm pretty big. Like, oh, well, when's your knee gonna get better, or your back, or whatever they would ask. Or I was like, oh, it's a back injury. They'd be like, oh, when are you gonna get up, or So a lot of people were curious, and then also too, just people, I would get on. I got on the bus right away after I got injured to go to school. My mom didn't let me sit around, So I was just kind of like had to navigate that, and just use public transportation, and everybody's looking at you and kind of like, oh, you're
How did it feel?
late for work.
I didn't like it. I didn't get on the bus because of that.
Like people make you feel like you're a burden because like you're the ramp at that time, the ramp goes down super slow. Half the time they break or get stuck, and then people are looking at their watches, like putting their head up. You just read all the reactions, and so I was just like, damn, So like, I would try to go early or like whatever, like just to kind of like avoid that. Or some buses wouldn't even stop. So it was just a lot of those like disrespectful shit that I couldn't really control. Like, and I was just like, some of it was disrespectful, some of it was curiosity, some of it was just like people just being human. And so I got to some point where like I kind of realized, I think it was after smoking some bud, but I was just like realizing like, okay, people stare at me now, like, okay, I get it because of the chair. But like when I was walking, I'm 6'1", around 6'1" and 6'3", a Mexican. I'm, what I'm saying, like in the Mexican neighborhood, everybody's short, so everybody looked at me already when I went in the room. So I was just like, they just look. It's the other way around now. I'm sitting down, so they focus on that. When I was standing up tall, they were focused on that. So it was just like I just realized I get attention either way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Negative or positive, it was just their curiosity. So
that's crazy, bro. Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think that was because more of like I was like, I was a people person. Like I like helping people, and I like playing sports, being around people. So I think that's why it was more my like, okay, how do I navigate this? 'Cause like, now you stick out in the crowd even more.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that was my first.
Or are they being nice to you because you're in the chair, or because they like you?
Right.
That was the other thing you had to kind of decipher through. But never like the whole like wheelchair stuff. Like I was able to kind of have things put in perspective real early in my in the hospital and stuff, because you go through that stage where you're just like, asking God, like, what did I do so bad? You go over all the bad scenarios you did.
Yeah. Was it that bad?
Like,
I didn't know it was that bad.
And then you come to a point, like you have a lot of time to like just be with yourself, being your thoughts, talk to God. And then I had roommates. I had two roommates. There was one kid who was Jewish, right? And they were both were God put these people in my path for a reason. And so the Jewish kid, he was funny because he had got into an accident, and his car went into the water in Lake Michigan or something like that, and he was supposed to be like, he was in a coma, and he was supposed to be brain dead, like he wasn't really gonna come out of it. And his mom was about to pull the plug, and some rabbi came by her and saw her crying, and she was about to pull it, like either that day or I think it was that day. That's why she was crying. And then the guy's like, hey, can I pray with you? And she's like, oh, I'm not really religious or anything like that. And he's, it's okay. He's like, just let me pray for you. And then he prayed with her, and then he's like, just give him another day. He might come out of it, And then she just gave him another day, and the next day he came out of his coma, and he was good. Like the doctors didn't even know what happened. It was like a miracle, because if he did come out of it, he was gonna be brain dead because he had so much water got into his lungs, into his brain.
Yeah.
And then he was my roommate, and he would come in, and he was joking, like he would be like, sister and mom would come in and be like, who are you? I don't remember you. What's your name? And like he would mess with them. Like I was like, this guy got a sense of humor. Just got out of a coma. So it was kind of like, all right, he's he's still himself, and being himself with his injury, and so that was kind of like one person, like, okay, like he didn't deserve to get in a car accident or almost die and be in a coma.
Yeah.
And then the second guy was my I tell this story a lot, like if I do like a motivational speaking or something, and I was like, so this guy, his name was Rob, and he was a kid from like one of the suburbs, like north suburbs of Chicago, and he played for a football team, and he had got tackled into a pole. And once he got tackled into the pole, it broke his neck, and he was paralyzed from the neck up.
Fuck.
And so, like I said, I was going through those sorrow stages where you're just like, asking why, and then you get this kid. After that other kid like got better, I had moved to his room, and he was in there, and I was like, one day I almost asked him to play video games, and I was just like, shit, he can't do that because he can only use a straw to move his chair. That was pretty much the only thing he could do. And so then one day they give him some contraption to put on his head, and then it's like it's like a pencil, and it has like an eraser, like something at the end.
Yeah.
And so it was a contraption to like turn a page on a magazine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the lady put it on his head, and then she got a call, so she had to go to another room. And then I was right there. I was in my chair already, and he was trying it, and he wasn't able to turn it right away, and like turn it right. He was like almost getting it, and then I just kind of thought in my mind, like, how do I turn the page usually from the top and like turn over? So I was like, yeah, just go. He was like, going middle page, and I was like, oh, just go higher to the front and to the top of it with your head, and then just kind of slide over and then go that way. So he does it. He goes boom, boom, and then he slides over, and then he just has the biggest smile on his face, and just like, damn.
Hell yeah.
It was like, fuck, what am I feeling sorry for? You know what I mean?
Bro,
this guy could do one thing, and that's turn this page in this book, and he had the smile, like biggest smile in the world. You know what I'm saying?
That's
and it was
crazy.
just like, how, like that was just God showing me like you have a lot of possibilities you have a lot of
perspective right there.
Yeah, super perspective for me, and that was my turn the page on feeling sorry for myself. And so yeah, shout out to my boy, rest in peace. He died a couple years ago.
Man, that's crazy.
But yeah, he helped me turn the page on feeling sorry for myself, and from then I never really looked back. Like, do the best with what you have and where you're at. So
Yeah, I was in jail when that happened to me, bro. I was in the chair for like 6 months. I got locked up, and I met a lot of people there that were handicapped, bro, wheelchair bound. There was a guy that was a quad that could walk. He's like, I can't feel my feet, but I could walk.
Did you? They have all guys together? in
Yeah.
one site?
So because
Was all the Crips in the
all the cripples, all the cripples were in this fucking one dorm. No, so it's a big tank, right? And it's all bunk beds, bro. And it's a medical tank. So a medical tank, you can have from a broken pinky to cancer to paralysis to any medical condition that you have. You're put in the medical tank because you're a liability. So, for example, if I go into a regular holding tank and everybody there that is healthy and I get beat up or something, it's on them. So they separate you because of that. And that was where I got my breakthrough. I was seeing all these fools that were handicapped, and they were teaching me how to like work on my balance, because we're T6. I'm a T6, right? So our balance is a little off. Mm-hmm. So I would be next to the bunk beds and do dips, and I would hold my arm. You know, in the beginning you start shaking because you don't even know where your hips are going. It's like your ass wants to move, right? And I'm so like shaking, and then eventually I'm here doing dips, and then they taught me. They were teaching me how to like dress myself, like what you could do, how to do it. Some fool was paralyzed for 20 years, and he was walking eventually, but he was in his 40s or 50s. And I'm like, and so he started teaching me tricks, bro. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I met a guy there that was dying from cancer. He had like 2 weeks left, bro. Like, he literally told me, yeah, man, I'm about to die. His legs were swollen. He was just doing really bad, bro. And just seeing these guys, I was like, man, like I got it, bro. But yeah, in the beginning, bro, I didn't go to church. I started going to church after the incident. So I think it's different. I wasn't talking to God before, bro. Mm-hmm. Because I'm a gang member. How am I gonna be like, sorry, God, I'm about to go try to stab this motherfucker right now? Like, God wasn't an option. Like, so I started feeling like that eventually, bro. Like within those 6 months, and in jail, bro, it was crazy, bro. I was locked up with a pastor. A pastor. This guy was there for selling drugs, but he was a pastor, bro, and he knew and for some weird reason, he would have Bible study every day, and I would go listen to him. And I don't know, everybody would be like, bro, he sells drugs, you know that, right? And I'm like, I know, but I don't know why. I'm like, because he knew the word. I'm like, I need to listen to what he's trying to teach me, bro, because the way I ended up in jail was like so crazy, bro. And 2 days before I ended up in jail, bro, I started praying to God. Like, I'm like, God, talk to me, bro. I'm like, really? Me, it was...
You never had before?
No. And bro, and I had like this unreal event to me that happened to me, bro, that God put me in jail. I got locked up over a pepper spray. I was a documented gang member and I didn't know that was a weapon. And they're like, oh, this is a weapon, so you're gonna get locked up. I thought I was getting locked up for curfew, because when you have gang probation, you have a curfew. So when I'm like, I'm locked up for a pepper spray. Like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? I ended up in county. My bunkie, this is how crazy it was. My bunkie, basically the person that you share bunks with, right? The guy that slept in the middle, he was a hardcore Christian. When I got to the tanks and they put me in my bed, this guy was like a hardcore Christian, right? You know why he was there? He had moved to Utah or some shit, and he was gone from San Diego for like 15 years. Like 15 years he was out of San Diego, had not been here in forever, right? He came back, and a ticket from 15 years ago came up when they pulled him over. And I think apparently, yeah, he had a warrant. But this guy was gone for so long that he didn't even think about it, bro. And he's a hardcore Christian. And I get there, and he's telling me why he's there. And he tells me, but Anthony, I'm here for you. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm here for a reason, man. And I believe it's for you. He like, cause like I came here to visit my family. I was gonna go back. I'm just, and he did only like a month. He was there for like a month or something like that. But he was my bunkie, bro, hardcore Christian. There was a pastor there, like I said earlier. There was a pastor, like he was a black dude, and that's even crazier because in I was in a medical tank, so the jail politics are not so heavy. But the fact that he was black, because Mexicans chill with Mexicans, black with blacks. Here, California is different, right? Whites with whites. I don't know how it is in Chicago and all that, but here, that's how it goes. It goes based on race. So that whole time, bro, I was in there, I was learning about God. But it was so hard, bro. It's very easy to be religious, any religion, Christian, Muslim, whatever, in jail. It's very easy to be religious in jail. Oh, yeah. Once you get out of jail, it's not that easy, because it's those temptations are there again, homie.
My dad's a Christian every time he goes to jail.
Every time he goes to jail.
My mom be telling me every time. I'm like, man, he says the same shit.
No,
time.
and look, I wasn't
like, it's for real this time.
Right. No, and when I went to jail, bro, I wasn't a Christian, but I was. Christ spoke to me. Yeah. I started talking to God. I'm like, God, I don't want to see no angel, no bullshit, but show me that you're real, bro. And he did, bro. And I don't even want to get into it because it's a whole nother story. It takes off from you guys. But the point being, I started talking to God after. And he started showing me some crazy stuff, bro. Like I said, I'm not here to preach, but God is real, man. God is real. And obviously, bro, the way I see with you, I didn't know you were this humble, fucking Jaime. Like, I didn't, bro. We've kicked it enough times. I don't know you had like such, like, you took it well. For the way that you're making it sound, you took it pretty well, because I didn't take this shit well.
Well, I mean, you know, you have the other side of it too, where if I got shot and I survived that, I would have thought I was Tupac, and I would have been like,
me
bring
too.
it, and I would have made me worse. It would have made me worse. So yeah. I know, kind of in a sense, like, it slowed me down. Like, I needed to be slowed down. I didn't think that much, but like, it was like a blessing in disguise. Whereas, like, I felt like if I would have got shot and survived it, I would have been like, all right, I'm definitely gonna be on some
nothing can stop me.
Nothing can stop me now.
I was already felt invincible, you know. Yeah, I was playing sports. I was getting
He's like, I'm the tallest Mexican.
Like, I'm playing tagging.
I can step on these little fools. Like, oh man,
you know, and you know, I was ballsy with a lot of stuff too, you know, because I'm 6'3", like, so
yeah.
If you're gonna beat me up, you're gonna have to come with like 3 or 4 guys,
or a gun.
Like, when every time I got like beat up, it was like, you know, it had to be a couple people, you know, but
fucking high, man.
You know, but I, you know, at some point, I like through grade school, I had like, you know, got in a couple fights where it's just like, after, you know, 2 years of fighting, like, everybody knows, all right, he got a 1-2 punch by now. Like, they kind of left me alone. So that was another thing too. So I was big. I could handle my own. That was before guns were like big into play. It was more like, you know,
you start chunking.
You know, you can, you know, even though they were in the gang, like, my cousins would hold the people back, and we had a beef, I would fight them, you know what I mean? So that was another thing where I got respect.